Welcome back to 360 Sports. Today we're talking all things NCAA. I'm your host, Gwen Evans, and I'm here with Oliver, Charlie, and Fernando. Getting things started, the college basketball season officially tipped off yesterday. While most games went as predicted, there were some opening upsets, including number 13 Arizona defeating number 3 Florida. Can the Gators recover and go back-to-back, or is there another team that will win in March?
I don't think the game was that crazy. I don't think it's too early. I think it's too early to be like, wow, Florida fell off. They're not going to do well. Florida has some strong returning players. They have 3 really good returning players, Alex, Thomas, and Micah. And they also have additional players. From being so good last year, they obviously pick up a lot of players. They get new recruits in. They get transfers in. So I think Florida will have a just fine season. It's the first game of the year. I think everyone needs to settle down with predicting where a Final Four is going to be and who's going to win what. But I think Florida will have a fine season, and if not, a great season.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's too early to tell. It's just the first game in the season. We're not even close to March, and, we can't tell anything right now. I mean, also, Arizona's a good team. We can't deny that at the end of the day, this was not a bad loss. Also, I mean, we were only in day one. We still need to find out about teams like Duke, Purdue. We still don't know much right now. So, we can't get ahead of ourselves right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a clear setback, but, I mean, March Madness is wide open. We could easily look back at this and say Arizona, this was their statement, and they could easily go on to win it all. It's just too early to tell. It's wide open right now.
Yeah,
I agree, especially with the other key teams that are going into the season. Purdue has a lot of returners. They're looking strong. St. John's has a healthy roster right now. I look for some good basketball out of them. University of Houston, which I know only as a basketball school, so I'm looking forward to watching them play. They also have returners, and obviously Duke's always in talk for play. Yeah. Do they ever perform? Maybe not in the championship, but maybe this is the year for them. Who knows? But they always do have a really great basketball season coming into some of those key tournaments at the end.
You said it best. Duke always has that, can always win it all. I mean, we've seen last year, they had Cooper Flag. They had all the talent on the floor, and then they still couldn't even get to a championship game. I mean, they're a really good team. They're probably a really good regular season team, but when it comes to March Madness, they haven't won since 2015. So, we can't, expect anything from them until they get it done.
Absolutely. Speaking of Purdue, number 1 ranked right now, they play Evansville. And I have a question for all of you. How much do they have to beat this Evansville middle of the D1 team to have you convinced that they are going to win it all?
Never heard of Evansville.
Exactly.
So minimum 40 points?
Right.
50 for me.
50?
It's going to have to be a significant margin. This game can't be remotely close.
Right. I mean, Purdue is sometimes a shaky team in the playoffs, so I'm interested to see how they end up playing.
Maybe they'll start out slow against Evansville. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I don't expect much from this noteworthy team.
This is Purdue's first time being ranked number 1, so we'll see what they do with that.
I'll say this. Until we get to conference play, we can't tell much about a team right now. I mean, Purdue, until they play Big Ten, which is one of the best conferences in men's basketball, we can't say anything about them.
Absolutely. Moving on to another sport that culminates in March, the NCAA wrestling season started this week as well. Everyone is chasing Penn State as the Nittany Lions look to win their 5th straight national championship. What are you expecting to see this year?
I mean, it should be another dominant year. We've won 12 out of the last 14 national championships, and we're chasing our 13th in 15 years. We have so many returning wrestlers. We're great at all the weight classes. I don't see a world where we don't win it all again.
I mean, don't forget also, they brought in the Japanese World Wrestling Champion for this season. You said they have talent all over the board in the weight category. It's going to take something special from a school like Nebraska or Iowa for something to change.
I agree. I think the season's going to be really great. In last year's championship, they broke their previous record for the total points scored, which is kind of amazing. They broke it. It was 177 points that they accumulated at that tournament. There is a spot technically open, 285. Their heavyweight spot is kind of up for grabs. Don't really know if people are going to be cutting to be in that. Who knows if they're putting on some weight to be in that position. I think that's the one position that really is up for grabs for the season, but that is not something that's going to bring down all the other weight classes and all the other people that are performing.
Absolutely. Do you think that any of the other teams think, like you mentioned, Nebraska, potentially Oklahoma State, Iowa, do you think that there's any of those teams that could end up challenging, and what would they have to do in order to get into that position?
I always see Iowa as the team that could challenge Penn State in wrestling. I mean, that's why they have such a great rivalry in wrestling. That's why the duels at between Penn State and Iowa here at Penn State are always at the Bryce Jordan Center because it attracts people to go there. They're the best wrestling programs in the country. Iowa's always the one, but I've heard a lot of noise coming from Nebraska. I heard this wrestling program has gotten significantly better, and they have like a lot of talent on all wrestling categories.
Yeah. I think a few other schools we got to look out to. Cornell, Michigan, and Ohio State have all bolstered their rosters. They're looking great at all the weight classes. I don't think it's enough, but they could be interesting to watch.
I agree. I don't think there's enough for many of these teams to really put off Penn State, but I do think some matches will go different ways. I do think that as we're evolving in a sport, there will always be new ways to better facing your opponent. So there will be new tricks and there will be new skills and new coaches come in and out, and there's these new young players and they don't have as many injuries, all the amazing things. So I do think that there will be some days where you're like, oh, okay, Penn State, like pick it up. But I don't think there's anything that will throw off the team.
Absolutely. This Penn State team has just been solid for the past 5 years. Obviously, no one has challenged them enough to take away the crown. But moving on, Penn State has become more of a hockey school recently, with the men's team sweeping Ohio State on the road and the women's team sweeping Robert Morris with back-to-back shutouts and staying undefeated. As the teams delve deeper into conference play, can they keep this up?
Yes. So they will keep this up. I don't doubt it. For the men's team, it's pretty cool that a lot of these young players that could go straight into the NHL aren't. They're taking this opportunity to play for college. So we have Gavin McKenna, who's a great example of that. But they're taking these opportunities. They're bettering their play. So college hockey is just looking better. There's better stars in the game. We're learning some names more, and it's really just putting them on the map. And our men's hockey team's pretty great. They won against Ohio State this past weekend, which was their first Big Ten, and they were behind in some of those games. They were tied, but they were able to come back. They had amazing power plays, so I really look for success.
Special teams was definitely the difference in this game. They scored 3 goals on the power play. McKenna's looking great, and we have so much depth just throughout the lineup. The goalie play has been fantastic. I mean, we're 9-1, coming off a Frozen Four appearance. I don't see why we can't do it again.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Like we play really well, but the thing for me is you can't get off to slow starts, and that's what Penn State men's hockey's been doing. Like they've been going into these deficits of 2-0 after the first period, and they have to claw all the way back to win these matches. And you can't do that against Michigan State this weekend. You just can't,
or Minnesota down the line.
Exactly, or even in Michigan next week because they come into Pagula next week as well.
That's got to be a statement victory.
But that's my point. Like I just don't think you can't get off to slow starts. That's my honest opinion. Yeah. And I honestly think we're going to find out a lot about this team this weekend because you're placing the number 1 team in the country on the road. You don't have Aiden Fink this weekend because he's hurt. So like if you can win even one game in Michigan State without Aiden Fink, that just shows how much depth you have going into Big Ten play, and that like you are a national championship contender.
I also think that our women's team is obviously worth mentioning. They are outstanding this season. They have been a great team. There's many potential Olympians on our team from different countries, are from America, and then we also have Dessa, which is their goalkeeper. 3rd time she has won goaltender of the week for Big Ten, which is pretty amazing, which obviously shows that she's not letting in those goals. She's really helping out the team. She is the backbone. I want to talk
a little bit about women's hockey. I mean, they're a good team. Like I went to see them last week for class, and they're a really good team. Like they have Tessa, they have a great goaltender. Like they have so much talent, and even though they play in a weak conference, like they're still a really good team. And I'm going to say this right now. I think they're going to end up undefeated going into the NCAA tournament.
And they're hosting the Frozen Four this year, so it's definitely going to be great.
Definitely, but they have struggled in the NCAA tournament in the past. Do you think that this team looks different from past teams and will be able to match up in the NCAA tournament?
I think this team has a lot of energy, a lot of new energy, and I believe they are looking to set records to be good for the program, especially with hosting the Frozen Four. You don't want to host the Frozen Four and not be in it. So
Yeah, I agree.
I believe that this team will break some records and be really good for the program.
Absolutely. We'll see how they do against Cornell and Ohio State coming up. But moving on to our national championship locks, as more and more college seasons tip off, teams begin to show their talent. Let's go to the board and give one team in any college sport that we think is a lock to win it all. Fernando, start us off.
All right. We're going to talk about a sport we haven't mentioned as of yet. We're going to go to women's volleyball, and it's a lock that Nebraska is going to win it all this year. Listen, this team lost to Penn State last year in 5 sets. They were winning they were up 2 sets, and they got reverse swept. Since then, they've been on a mission and on a tear. They're undefeated. They're 22-0. They played 12 games, 12 matches in Big Ten play, haven't lost a set in all those 12 matches. The last time they lost a set, September 16 against Creighton. That's just amazing. Like, that shows how much talent this team has. I don't see this team slowing down. Danny Boosbaum-Kelly has a chip on her shoulder. She lost the national championship last year to Katie Schumacher-Cauley. She's coaching with a lot of energy, a chip on her shoulder. I don't see anything to slow this Nebraska team down, and they could even win this national championship as an undefeated team.
Thank you, Fernando. I think that was a great point. I watched them play. They're pretty amazing.
I was there for the Penn State match. I can tell you right now, they're ferocious. They're amazing at digging. They're just everywhere on the board, everywhere on the court. They have it all. They're just too good. They have an amazing coach now. I just don't see them being stopped.
Do you see that potentially them being undefeated going into the tournament could end up making them feel a little bit too confident, or do you think that'll just keep rolling?
Nope. I'll say this because their coach lost the national championship last year.
Yeah.
So that's a coach that will literally tell her team, you need to stay focused even if we're undefeated because the mission is not done.
Absolutely.
And we lost to Penn State last year in the semifinals. We can't let that happen again.
Okay, I'm going to cover another sport that we have not talked about, which I'm super excited to talk about. Okay, so I'm going to mention the UConn women's basketball team. This is obviously not a shock that they are a powerhouse, but UConn has brought the energy to women's basketball. I think they have popularized it a lot. There's people watching these games with some of their players now going into the professional leagues. They are amazing. So their coach is one of the all-time greats. She's pretty great for the program, obviously. I believe that if they make it to the Big East tournament and win that Big East tournament, they're 100% going far in the tournament and maybe winning the national championship. They have some great transfer players this year. Obviously, being a big program, they get those transfers. So Williams looks really good. She has some college experience, which is great, and I think she's going to do really good things for the program. Obviously, they have their returning players, which is going to be huge. So I do believe that UConn women's basketball is going to make it far and hopefully win it all.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't see a South Carolina potentially challenging them?
Listen, I think South Carolina is a great team, but I don't think they could beat what UConn has going right now. I think they have the energy coming off of last year. I know we don't often see back-to-back winners, but I think they have a lot of energy. I believe they have a lot of new fans, and those new fans coming into the stadium is really just going to pick them up.
Do you think the loss of Beckers is going to play as big a role as people think it will?
I 100% agree, but I think that because people learn from her with playing with her, they are just going to adapt, and they're just going to be a better team out of it.
Bit of an obvious pick, but not a hot take at all. So I think I'm up.
Go for it, Oliver.
It's a sport we definitely have talked about, but so my lock is the Penn State men's hockey team. I think they're just too deep up and down the lineup. We have goal scoring from top to bottom. Our goaltending has been fantastic, and I think Gavin McKenna can absolutely lead this team to the promised land. And we're 9-1, one loss in a game where J.J. Weisbach scored 4 goals. So just more depth throughout the lineup, and I don't see many teams beating us.
We got a 2-for-1 lock with this one, with the wrestling team and the hockey team. So you're making two statements at once.
Yeah.
That was my other pick.
Good.
Yeah, I mean,
Got both.
Those are both amazing teams for our program. So
they're probably going to carry our program this year, considering how our programs have been this year.
I don't think we're a football school anymore. I do believe that
We're not-
it's
We're
Hockey
shifting.
Valley and
We're
it's
shifting.
wrestling. So
It's okay.
We were the national champs in women's volleyball. I just don't see that happening anymore.
we're making some changes.
Absolutely.
Better teams.
Hey, so it's a good athletic program all around, and we're proving it this year.
Exactly.
My pick is a little bit different because this is a sport that doesn't get a whole lot of coverage, but it's women's cross country. I think that BYU is going to end up winning it all this year. They are incredibly talented, and they're going to get tested by some teams like NC State and Oregon. But what they have that the other teams in the area don't is that they're able to train in Provo, Utah, which is incredibly high elevation. And that'll help them when they go into Missouri on November 22nd for the championships. And it's a little bit colder than where these other teams are used to training. And BYU has an incredible coach who has the talent and the maturity to support her athletes going into these championships. Diljit Taylor is incredible. And this team is supported by juniors and seniors primarily. They have the experience. Many of them have done it before. They won in 2024. I believe that they are an absolute lock for this year.
And I'm glad you're touching on a sport that like doesn't get enough attention. I mean, like listening about you talk about BYU, like it's very interesting to hear about like these athletes because all the athletes in college should get supported.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so many sports that don't really get the same coverage because of football and because of all this NIL that's happening right now. But moving on, let's talk about some of the upcoming tournaments in the Big Ten, starting us off, men's soccer.
I mean, what I know about the tournament is the top 4 teams clinch. We're already guaranteed to have Maryland, Washington, and Michigan in this tournament. There's still the last week of the season happening this weekend. And from what I understand is the 4th seed is up for grabs between UCLA, Indiana, and Rutgers. But UCLA has the advantage right now with 14 points, 2 ahead of Indiana and 3 ahead of Rutgers. So at the end of the day, I do think UCLA goes to the tournament at the end of the day. And but what I've seen is I think Washington wins it all. I think I've seen Maryland play. They're a good team, but when I saw them play against Penn State, they just don't defend well. They just don't have that intensity that I think Washington
I
does.
saw that game as well. It didn't impress me as much as it should for a team that's going hard into this tournament.
Yeah, and also like Penn State, like I don't want to talk about how this team. I want to focus on these teams, but Penn State's not that good of a men's soccer team, and for Maryland to not win that game, and they got away with it. They could have easily lost that game. To not get close to winning that game just proves to me like you're not ready to win a tournament like the Big Ten.
Agreed.
I think I'm going to have to disagree with you on that 4 seed. I think it is going to be Indiana.
Really?
I think Indiana's looked really, really good these past couple of games.
I mean, they are the team that beat us 2 years ago, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wouldn't be a 360 Sports show if I did not bring up my home state of Washington, and I think that this Washington team is incredibly solid on the men's soccer front. They have played very, very well, and I think they will continue rolling through.
They're the team to beat.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Moving through to women's soccer.
Okay, so we've had the quarterfinals last week. Unfortunately, Penn State lost to a heartbreaker to UCLA. So we have Michigan State against UCLA, and we have Washington against Wisconsin. I think UCLA beats Michigan State because
Agreed.
UCLA is so talented defensively. They've only allowed the most goals they've allowed in one game is 1. They haven't let more than 2 goals, more than 1 goal in a match. They've only allowed 6 this entire season. Like, think about that. It's just 6. And also, we talk about this in every sport. Defenses win championships. In fact, against Penn State, they were down 1-0, and yet they still won because at the end of the day, when the defense crumbles, they have the offensive power to go and come back. So I think UCLA beats Michigan State, Washington beats Wisconsin, and at the end of the day, I do think UCLA repeats as champion again.
I think UCLA is winning it all. I agree. Defensively, they are amazing. I remember seeing the stats go through the season and watching them just keep winning. They kept winning. They kept keeping those goals out, and they've dealt with a couple injuries that have made people worry, but they've been great, and they've been performing amazingly.
And like I said, in the Penn State match, they showed me a lot. You were down 1-0 going into halftime, and yet you came back and won that match in the second half, scoring 2 goals. They had so many shots on target. They dominated offensively. That just shows how built this team is to even win an NCAA tournament. Because if your defense isn't ready to step up, you have your offense who can pick up the slack. And I think UCLA proved that against Penn State.
The winning culture is just clearly there. I mean,
absolutely. Look, and I hate to bring up Washington again, but they have been really having a lot of upsets this year, and I think that this could be one of those moments for them. Big Ten tournament, and I think this could be Washington's moment to shine. It would be pretty cool if both Washington teams ended up winning the Big Ten. So we'll see how that goes. But moving on to field hockey, which starts on Wednesday.
Yeah, so I'm a big field hockey fan. I follow the season pretty closely. Penn State is knocked out of the championship. They got knocked out by Rutgers last Friday. So it was Rutgers or Penn State going in. So Rutgers is in this tournament. It starts quickly, starts Wednesday. So I'm really looking to Northwestern to show up, win it. Kind of. They're a great powerhouse team. They beat Penn State 4-0. They beat Rutgers 5-0. They are strong. There are some other great teams in this tournament. Indiana's pretty amazing. They have some powerhouse players. When you watch them, you're like, oh, okay. Like settling into it, like the game against Penn State, it started off close and then Indiana just took off. I expect Indiana to take off in a lot of these games. So I think the tournament's going to be a great showing. I recommend everyone watches it, but field hockey is a sport that not everyone follows, but they show off some great games. It's high intensity. It's just a fun game to watch.
I agree with you. I mean, these sports need to get more attention, especially field hockey. Like I see Northwestern winning this easily. They're the best team by far in the Big Ten. They're undefeated in the Big Ten. They've only lost 1 match this season. The closest team is Iowa, but I just don't see them having the talent.
Penn State beat Iowa. So Penn State beat Iowa in double overtime, which just kind of shows that Iowa can kind of crumble, and I think Northwestern will take them.
And didn't Penn State only win 2 matches in Big Ten play this year?
They lost 2, and they won 3.
They won 3. Oh,
yeah.
I don't know why I thought 2.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that any of these Big Ten teams are going to be able to match up against the ACC juggernauts like the North Carolinas in the big tournament?
So UNC kind of holds it all for field hockey. They are the program that people have looked at for inspiration. These young athletes are looking at UNC as their field hockey team. So I do think that when these Big Ten teams face these ACC powerhouses, that it's going to be a different environment. UNC plays with power. They play with grit. Their coaching staff is amazing. So I think that's going to be really interesting for the tournament. I do think that Northwestern, which is my prediction for the tournament, can face them pretty confidently, but I don't know. UNC tends to pull it out.
Absolutely. All right. Before we wrap up, just want to talk about some random NCAA picks that we have going. Just last words before we leave.
Well, we haven't really discussed women's volleyball
Absolutely.
enough.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a sport that is pretty powerful here at Penn State. Last year they're coming off the Natties. This year they've been a little disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, this team has been very disappointing. Like, let's say the least. Like, they've lost 9 matches. They just lost to Indiana at home in a sweep. They lost to Michigan on Friday. Like, this team doesn't get off to good starts. They make so many errors. Penn State is just not a good team. As much as I hate to say it. And like I said before on the board, Nebraska is going to dominate. This team is so freaking good.
I think that the women's volleyball team has definitely had some shocks this season with one of their star players. Yeah, so she announced she wasn't playing in the middle of one of their first matches, which was pretty astounding, a pretty interesting way to do it.
The day before, the day of the national banner nights.
Yes. So that was pretty interesting. I think that the team came off hot, obviously off this national championship, and they are just not performing like they need to. I mean, there's certain players that are, like Kennedy Martin's pretty amazing. She's winning player of the week often. Her stats are amazing. The rest of the team's stats don't compare. They're playing these long sets. All their sets are just so intense, and they're playing so many of them. So these girls are tired on the court, and they're just not pulling off the wins.
For me, the thing with also for Penn State is you have Caroline Jurabicius. She helped you win a national championship. Yeah. Why isn't she playing a lot? I don't understand the mindset behind that. Like, she hasn't played a lot since the season began. Her role has decreased. Like, she is like the second best player on that team, and yet she doesn't start. And I don't get it. I just think she needs to start. I think she provides a huge energy booster to that team. She's one of those players who literally would, when you're going through rough stretches like they're going through right now, could help you boost your energy up. And I do think Caroline Jurabishis needs to play more.
Do you think there could be an injury we don't know about, perhaps?
I mean,
I don't really see any other reason why she would be playing.
I mean, I can tell you she had to change roles because of the Kennedy Martin entrance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like, I just don't get why she doesn't play.
I think going deeper into seasons too, a lot of these players are facing small injuries that start to build up. You know, they have strains that aren't healed from game to game. So I'm not saying it's with her, but I would be saying, like, going deeper and deeper into the season, these players their bodies are going through so much that if they're not winning these sets quickly, that their bodies are just falling apart.
Also, you said it best. Like, they have to go through so much. They have 2 matches in less than 3 days. They have to. Penn State plays against Purdue on Friday at Purdue, and then 2 days later they play at Illinois. That's a lot to take in between 3 days.
Yeah.
2 matches in 3 days is a lot. So I understand. I completely agree with you. Like, these athletes take in a lot, and they have to put a lot of work in their bodies to stay mentally fit.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we mentioned that we think that Nebraska is going to win it all, but if you had to pick another team to win it, there's a lot of really good teams in volleyball right now. Personally, I think Pitt could end up being a good challenger, but what do you guys think?
That's a good question. I mean, I've always had in the back of my mind Nebraska, but if I really had to choose one, I think I would go with Pitt. Because I mean, they have a lot of talent. I mean, they lost last year in the national semifinals. They still have Olivia Babcock. Yeah. So I just don't. If I had to choose a second contender, it would be Pitt, or even Louisville. Or another one that I don't think we talk a lot about is Texas. Texas, before they lost Texas A&M, was the number 2 team in the country. Mm-hmm. So I also think Texas could be that sleeper team if somehow, some way, Nebraska falls off. Yeah.
I think Louisville's a good pick for this. Watching them play, they're a pretty impressive team. They have a strong roster. I would say they have a lot of good backup players too that they sub in pretty frequently, and they do play well against these powerhouses.
Yeah. And their coach Dan Fisher is really good. So I can't count out Pitt as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Seems like there's a solid 3 at the top that we should be looking for. Yeah. But that seems to be all the time we have today. Thank you so much for joining me, Fernando, Charlie, and Oliver for today's NCAA Frenzy. And make sure you tune in tomorrow for tomorrow's hockey show.